Hey, great to see you. I am Marlon and this is Marlon's Movies. Christmas is over and we're heading towards New Year's Eve. So why doesn't anybody take a look at some of the great movies that are centered around this holiday? Well, one of the reasons might be that most of the movies that are centered around New Year's Eve are kind of shitty. So New Year's Eve in movies is a tricky thing to portray, because it's not as emotional as Christmas and you can mostly just substitute it by putting a random big party in your movie. Nonetheless, some movies try to capture the spirit of this holiday for better or worse, and we're going to take a look at 5 of them. Quality may vary. Rules are the movie either has to take place mostly at New Year's Eve, or the event of the celebration has to be essential to the plot or the overall mood of the movie, and not only be glanced over at one scene or two.
You broke my heart. You broke my heart.
I'm sorry, Godfather 2. Maybe next time. So let's get these fireworks ready and prepare to make some movies explode. First movie, Ocean's 11. No, not this Ocean's 11. There you go. Okay, the original Ocean's 11 from the 60s stars Frank Sinatra instead of George Clooney, and he brings his whole Red Pack along. Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, they're all in it together. Just like in the remake, Danny Ocean assembles a team to commit an elaborate heist. But this is almost where the similarities end. Danny Ocean's plan hinges around the tradition to sing Auld Lang Syne at New Year's Eve. The exact duration of this song is the only time frame where they can pull off their heist properly. While the remake focuses on the robbery itself, the original constructs its story vastly different. The build-up changes and the heist itself doesn't occur as a climax, but in the middle of the movie. Won't tell you how it turns out, of course. The rest of the movie deals with the various consequences their actions have. The story is not as slick and as streamlined as the remake, but it feels a lot more laid back and puts a huge emphasis on the fact that you enjoy hanging around with Frank Sinatra and company, listening to the music, watch them dance, play off each other, and just have a good time in general. It's an innocent and easygoing movie with some nice touches, and if you're a fan of the Red Pack, you've probably already seen it, but if you're a fan of the new version and want to see a vastly different take on the story and the pacing, you can absolutely take a closer look and celebrate New Year's Eve with good old blue eyes.
Happy New Year! EO11.
Next film on our list, New Year's Eve. Warning, this is a big turd of this list. It's a movie you will most likely come across first when you're googling for New Year's Eve movies, because it's in the fucking title. But beware, it sucks. Someday somebody saw the charming British romantic comedy Love Actually and thought, wait a minute, we can do the same. And all we have to do is gather an all-star cast, subtract all the wit and heartwarming fun from the original, Americanize it to the max, and turn up the cheesiness till people cry sugar instead of tears. This movie centers around a handful of stories that take place on New Year's Eve, which suck most of the time and are mediocre at best. This is a film that stands for everything that's wrong with the Hollywood romantic comedy industry. Because why should you pay somebody to write a decent screenplay when you can just hire a hack writer instead and throw money at the film until it becomes a good thing? The production value is beautiful, and we know that most of the actors can be terrific if they are given the chance, but here they all play the same role, the role of an actor waiting for his or her paycheck. The movie commits the greatest sin a romance can commit. It has no heart and simply not the tiniest bit of passion. It's such a pity because the approach of making an episodic movie about New Year's Eve does sound like a good idea, doesn't it? And so we come to the next film on our list, 200 Cigarettes. 200 Cigarettes was filmed in 1999 and tells the story of New Year's Eve in 1981. A handful of people bumping into each other during the course of the last night of the year. It stars...
Hold on to your butts.
Ben Affleck, post-Oscar, Kate Hudson, pre-Fame, Dave Chappelle, pre-Chappelle Show, Paul Rudd, what the hell was Paul Rudd famous for before Ant-Man? Anyway, Courtney Love, Christina Ricci, Casey Affleck, and even Elvis Costello has a cameo. So why have you never heard about this movie? Maybe because it's extremely mediocre. The stories are pretty much what you would expect. People trying to host a party, people trying to find a party, people looking for love, people going on dates, and everybody has a weird obsession about sex all the time. People are indeed more looking for sex in this movie than they're looking for anything else. And most of them are pretty self-indulged pricks and prickets about it. But here's the odd part. Of all the movies on this list, this one might capture the feeling of New Year's Eve when you're in your 20s the most accurately. Yeah, for most people in real life, this night of the year is exactly about this. Being selfish, find a great party, get wasted, and find somebody to fuck. Even the sheer mediocrity of this movie reminds me of this occasion. We want to have something great and special because it's the last night of the year and you feel committed to do something that's totally worth celebrating. But everything turns out to be kind of meh. It's not a bad movie, but it's a completely forgettable movie to say the least. And you feel that there's some good ideas within it, and it does tie most of the stories back together and has even a few cute moments, especially when it comes to Kate Hudson. Apart from that curiosity value, there is really no reason to watch it on the one hand, but on the other hand, there is no reason to avoid it at all costs. It's harmless fun, but it's completely forgettable. Unlike our next entry. 4 Rooms is the oddball on this list. 4 directors collaborated to tell the story of Ted the bellhop, played by Tim Ross, who works at an expensive hotel at New Year's Eve. There are 2 that you don't care about, and there are Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. Every director tells one story that is connected to one of the hotel rooms while the night proceeds. The first story, for example, is about a coven of witches, one played by Madonna, who are trying to resurrect one of the sisters, but need some sperm for it. Don't worry, it's getting weirder. 'Cause one of them was supposed to bring it, but she was so horny that she swallowed it, and now they have to hypnotize Tim Ross with some of the weirdest, crappiest 90s computer effects you can imagine, so he can fall in love with the witch and give her some sperm to finish the ritual. This movie is as silly as it gets, and it's all over the place. Tim Ross is acting like he's in a cartoon, the stories are over the top to say the least. As a film, it's not particularly funny, but it is kind of interesting. Sometimes it feels as if there's just a bunch of friends who came together and made a movie without any fucks given. The actors don't give a fuck about the performances, the directors don't give a fuck about the story, and sometimes you're in on the joke and it's charming, but other times it's just awkward and boring. The good news is that the stories are getting better and better during the course of the movie. And if you can see through the past that every actor chews its scenery as if there is no tomorrow, especially the last 2 episodes are really enjoyable and worth watching. Tarantino, for example, adapts in his meta fashion an episode of Alfred Hitchcock's Presents. The episode is called The Man from the South, and it's extremely watchable if you can find it. Tarantino's take on it is pretty solid and gives the old tale of a man and a futile bet a nice twist. If you're hungover and in the mood for some wacky misadventures, give 4 Rooms a look. Also, it does feel a little rushed and phoned in from time to time, but that's part of the fun.
What is all that stuff for?
Hey, one thing at a time, man. I'm not a frog and you're not a bunny, so let's not jump ahead.
Very good, sir.
So now we have a roundup of movies that are all kind of okay and kind of good in various situations. Except for New Year's Eve, which totally sucks. But there is still no clear recommendation. So is there really no good New Year's Eve movie around? Well, there might be one. In 1996, Catherine Bigelow, later Oscar winner and then wife of James Cameron, directed the science fiction thriller Strange Days, which is set around New Year's Eve in 1999. Remember the millennium where everybody was afraid that all the computers might fail at midnight and where we're having a good time enjoying virtual reality chip drugs? Oh wait, what? Yeah, Catherine Bigelow's story takes place in kind of an alternate reality where people invented devices you can plug in your brain and relive experiences other people recorded for you. These new chip drugs are the hot stuff on the streets of LA, and Lenny Nero, played by Ralph Fiennes, is their #1 dealer. Suddenly things go south very fast for Lenny, and people try to kill him left and right for some unknown reason. Before we know it, we are caught up in a neo-noir story complete with gangsters, conspiracies and femme fatales. The actors are all rock solid, from Ralph Fiennes to Angela Bassett to Juliette Lewis, who even contributes some of the soundtrack as well. There is a lot of cinematography that looks almost effortless but is orchestrated perfectly. For the point of view sequences involving the chip drug experience, Catherine Bigelow created a special kind of camera system to film one takes that are not as smooth as Steadicams, but still not as shaky as handcams. The best thing about it is that the movie oozes with atmosphere and delivers everything you would expect from this neo-noir mix. A new Blade Runner, unfortunately, it is not. The last stroke of genius is missing that would turn an interesting world into a captivating one, that would turn good characters into memorable ones, and that would turn a clever story into a memorable epic. Nevertheless, Strange Days is a highly underrated movie, and if I had the choice to watch one movie centered around New Year's Eve, I would definitely pick this one. So this was my list of some movies worth checking out or worth avoiding around the time of New Year's Eve. Do you have any other recommendations or some warnings to give out? Then please leave a comment. And after all, enjoy your New Year's Eve no matter how you celebrate it and no matter which movie you might watch. This is Marlon, signing out.